I'm here to lead you in worship today, and I'm excited to do so. I've been a member of Horizon for a long time, since 1996 or so, and I have never calculated how many services I've sat through, so maybe that'll be a math project I'll have to work on. Let me call you to worship today. May our time together renew our hope. May the stories we share refresh our courage. May the songs we sing lift our spirits. May the words we speak invigorate us. May the touch of hands, the sound of laughter, the sight of faces new and familiar restore us in faith.
Hopping Over the Surface of Life by Doug Kraft. When I was a kid, I liked to skip stones. If I threw a flat stone at the correct angle and with enough speed and energy, it would kiss the surface and leap into the air again and again. If we have too much stuff in our lives, our attention skips from one object to another without really enjoying anything. If we have too many activities, our attention jumps from past to future without settling into the present. If we have too many opinions, we end up thinking about how things should be without fully seeing how things are. Happiness and ease flow from the bottom of the lake. They aren't found hopping over the surface of life. We have to slow down enough to settle into the depths. Joy and ease are simple and uncomplicated. Having lots of things to do, stuff to manage, places to go, and opinions to consult make life complicated. Reading 2, adapted from What If All I Want Is a Mediocre Life? From a Life in Progress blog by Krista O'Reilly Davi Digui. The world is such a noisy place. Loud, haranguing noises, voices, lecturing me to hustle, to improve, build, strive, yearn, acquire, compete, and grasp for more, for bigger and better. Sacrifice sleep for productivity. Strive for excellence. Go big or go home. Have a huge impact on the world. Make your life count. But what if I just don't have it in me? What if all the striving for excellence leaves me sad, worn out, depleted, drained of joy? Am I simply not enough? What if I never really amount to anything when I grow up? Beyond mom and sister and wife. But these people in my primary circle of impact know that they are loved and that I would choose them again, given the chance. Can this be enough? What if I embrace my limitations and stop railing against them? Make peace with who I am and what I need, and honor your right to do the same. Accept that all I really want is a small, slow, simple life. A mediocre life. A beautiful, quiet, gentle life. I think it is enough.
The quest to rise above mediocrity plagues us. We hurriedly rush from thing to thing, place to place, in an effort to ensure our own and our children's place in the world, beat out the competition, and succeed. Our refrain, I'm just so busy, my calendar is so full, I have so much to do, I can't squeeze in one more thing, validates us and can help us feel like we are contributing to the world. But what if the purpose of life isn't achievement, awards, money? What if God wants us to live with joy and happiness, however we achieve that? What if it is the appreciation of beauty, the love of a child, feeling at peace, finding joy? Does the busyness our society values truly fulfill our hearts? Does it allow us to take a breath and learn who we are and what we care about? As I sat down to think about what kind of message I wanted to share with you all today, I kept coming back to the idea that church is a place where you explore how you want to live your lives. It helps you find your values and beliefs and turn those into actions. As a child, I always told my mother that I wanted to be someone when I grew up. To this day, I don't really know what I meant by that. Perhaps I envisioned myself as an 80s Today Show host, Jane Pauley, my mother was a fan, or an attorney out fighting for justice. I know I didn't see myself as a middle-aged mom with a fledgling consulting business. As I age, I question whether I have become the someone I envisioned as a child. Am I making the stamp on the world I wanted to? Now that I'm pushing 50, the idea of how I want to live my life seems to be coming up again and again. As I watch what's going on in our country, as I see my children growing up, as I think about the contribution I want to make to the world, I'm perplexed and somewhat overwhelmed. Where do I begin? For a time, I bought into the idea that filling my time added meaning to my life and made me someone. When I was younger, I took classes, attended Wisdom Circle, volunteered, and worked. As I had children, I let some of those things go in order to spend time with those I care about most. Yet when my calendar lightens up, when I have a moment of free time, I still feel insecure, worried, and afraid. When I ran across the message of mediocrity from my reading, it resonated with me. As the author said, what if I am not cut out for the frantic pace of this society and cannot even begin to keep up? Am I enough? Or maybe it isn't that I'm not cut out for it, but that I don't find meaning there. As Wayne Mueller says in his brilliant book, Sabbath, our culture invariably supposes that action and accomplishment are better than rest, that doing something, anything, is better than doing nothing. Because of our desire to succeed, to meet those ever-growing expectations, we do not rest. Because we do not rest, we lose our way. But you may say, desperate times call for desperate measures. The world is going to hell in a handbasket. I must work hard at my job to retain it and support myself and my family. I can't slow down. I need to change the direction our country is going in, so I must act. I don't dispute these ideas at all. I just ask that you take a minute to think. What price do we pay for not allowing space for ourselves to rest, reflect, and grow? Thomas Merton's words on overwork resonated with me. To allow oneself to be carried away by a multitude of conflicting concerns, to surrender to too many demands, to commit oneself to too many projects, to want to help everyone and everything, is to succumb to violence. Wow, those are strong words. But let's think about it. How many times have you filled your to-do list with items that have no importance at the sacrifice of yourself? Or you get so busy with the doing of things that you forget why you're doing them. Merton continues, the frenzy of our activism neutralizes our work for peace. It destroys our own inner capacity for peace. It destroys the fruitfulness of our own work because it kills the root of inner wisdom, which makes our work fruitful. So why do we fill our lives like this, full of stress, exhaustion, sleepless, and worried that we aren't doing enough, that our children aren't doing enough? Perhaps we just remove the doing and say it like it really is. We are concerned that we are not enough. My theory is we fill our lives with tasks, meetings, items we must own, people we must see to find meaning, to validate ourselves. The problem is, it's a never-ending treadmill of which we can't get off. We keep building for the future, looking for the promised land, the next accomplishment that feeds our self-worth and our egos. Before I go further, I want to come out and say I do have ambition, drive, and interests in the greater world. I really do. I don't want this sermon to be a cop-out that I've decided to sit home and twiddle my thumbs. But I do want to question the assumption that there's anything wrong with being average or mediocre. We need the achievers, the leaders, the visionaries, but we also need the reminders that you can still have a full and wonderful life and just be average. That is why I'm advocating for extraordinary mediocrity. By this, I don't mean that you are so good at mediocrity that people call you and say, "Why, Laura, what extraordinarily mediocre potato salad you made." I mean, I have nothing at all to say about this extraordinarily mediocre potato salad. It's not good, it's not bad. What I mean is that you embrace life with a gusto and live a beautiful, peaceful life full of choices you've made, regardless of your achievements. The reason I wanted to touch on mediocre today, really, this sermon is all about me, not you, is because I finally realized I'm not going to be the best at anything. I'm not an Olympian, or a rock star, or even a celebrity chef. And there is nothing wrong with that. Except in my heart, I think, oh, I should be writing this book. I should be creating this podcast. I should be more than I am. That struggle, the tension between feeling like accepting mediocrity is perfect and feeling like like a nobody with nothing to contribute, has given me many sleepless nights. When I read the essay on mediocrity that inspired this talk, I felt relief. Phew! Someone else recognizes that the rat race doesn't help you achieve a better life, that we don't necessarily have more meaning and fulfillment if our calendars have more appointments on them. So I'm practicing. Just like yoga, having a new point of view about life is a practice. Rather than thinking I need to be somebody, I'm trying to recognize that I am somebody extraordinary, but also somebody mediocre. One of my favorite authors, Anne Lamott, said, "Your problem is how you're going to spend this one and precious life you have been issued. Whether you're going to try to spend it trying to look good and creating the illusion you have power over your circumstances, or whether you're going to taste it, enjoy it, and find out the truth about who you are." So, how do you achieve extraordinary mediocrity? First, you start by accepting what is. I'll bring in the Buddhist teachings here and remind you that resistance is the cause of all suffering. Whether you're yelling at the car in front of you for cutting you off or the fact that your father is dying, resistance does not get you anywhere. Taking it a step further, accepting and not judging the parts of your life that are average or mediocre will bring you peace. Accepting this may even help you achieve extraordinary things. After all, you are not average or mediocre. Second, don't make assumptions. As Don Miguel Ruiz guides us in the Four Agreements, we have a tendency to make assumptions about everything and believe they are truth. We make assumptions about what others are doing and thinking. I do it with my husband and children all the time. He doesn't want to go to that art museum because he doesn't like art. She's not eating her dinner because she doesn't like it. When in reality, he likes art fine and her stomach was bothering her. Marriages are ruined, friendships lost, mistakes made because we make assumptions rather than asking questions. We say, if he knew me, he would know what I'm really feeling. Well, how could he? By making assumptions, we make up stories in our mind that aren't true, yet we believe them to be gospel. We also make choices based on those assumptions. If I don't go to this event, my boss will be mad. If I don't volunteer at this school fundraiser, my child will suffer. Some of these assumptions may be true, but they may be false. It pays to find out. Assumptions take our time and our peace. The event we attend because we didn't want to builds resentment and time. It takes our time. These assumptions build up and take away from your quest for extraordinary mediocrity. Third, know your own values. This kind of seems self-explanatory, but by knowing what I care about, I can make better choices on how I want to spend my time, the work I want to do, the sacrifices I am willing to make, and the gifts I want to provide the world as I pursue the quest I have to be somebody. This is what allows us to add the word extraordinary in front of mediocrity, because by acting what you care about, justice, peace, democracy, health, beauty, you contribute to the people around you. This is about identifying what you love: golf, boating, hiking, reading, spending time being true to you creates extraordinary mediocrity. As Wayne Muller says, our core human values, the deepest and best of who we are, require the nourishment of time and care if we are to grow and flourish. You may be able to tell I've been working hard on living the advice I'm giving you today. I've been in a kind of mini midlife crisis as I moved my parents from our childhood home this spring. Driving away from them was one of the hardest things I've done. Racked in sobs, I was afraid for my ailing father and aging mother, and afraid for myself as I thought about a time that they would not be there. Seeing my daughter learn to drive, to confidently board a plane to Boston with her UU friends, and begin to live the life she is meant to. Seeing my son grow and get stronger and taller and learn so much more than I think I'll ever know. During some dark days of depression and fear and desire to change my life, I went to see Reverend Laura, who listened and empathized and gave me a book by Parker Palmer, who says, "Our deepest calling is to grow into our own authentic selfhood, whether or not it conforms to some image of who we ought to be. As we do so, we will not only find the joy in every human being seeks, we also find our path of authentic service in the world." Reading Parker Palmer and several other books recently have made me realize I don't need to add to my list of things to do. I need to subtract and take time to listen to myself, to have quiet time to contemplate who I am and what I care about, as I feel like that has gotten lost in the midst of busyness of caring for others and earning a living, ultimately to be at peace. This is my fourth and final suggestion for achieving extraordinary mediocrity. Take time for yourself to enjoy the strawberry. Smell the baby's luscious scent. Walk in the moonlight, because that's the only temperature we can bear. Speak to a friend. Read a book. Look at art. Create. Express gratitude. Play. If you still aren't sure where you're going to find that time, start with just a moment, a breath, if you will, when you can be present and notice your surroundings. Choose a common cue during your day to act as a reminder to pause, maybe when you get a text, the doorbell rings, when you're sitting at a stoplight. Stop, take 3 silent breaths, and move on. See if it changes you. Now, I've pulled a lot of ideas together in this sermon. Let me try to tie it all together for you. There is joy and peace in accepting that you don't have to be perfect, that you can have a wonderful and beautiful life while being mediocre. There is celebration in the fact that you can let go of some of the items on your to-do list because they just don't matter to you. They don't contribute to your life and, in fact, steal your peace. You see, for me, feeling peaceful is my ambition. As Parker Palmer says, self-care is never a selfish act. It is simply good stewardship of the only gift I have, the gift I was put on this earth to offer others. Anytime we can listen to true self and give the care it requires, we do it not only for ourselves, but for the many others whose lives we touch. During those turbulent and disturbing times, you may wonder how I can even contemplate finding peace. You see, I believe strongly that the greatest gift I can give the world is my own peace, and that having that internal peace provides my children with a better foundation and an ability to cultivate and spread peace themselves. Hedy Hillesum, a Dutch author who wrote these words while in Auschwitz,
Ultimately, we have just one moral duty: to reclaim large areas of peace in ourselves, more and more peace, and reflect it towards others. And the more peace there is in us, the more peace there will also be in our troubled world. The road to that peace is acceptance. It is not making assumptions. It is knowing your values. In my opinion, it is extraordinary mediocrity.